Sure, the action has just stopped here at the Shimangwaneni waterhole. This has been by far one of the best sightings and photographic opportunities I've had in a very long time. I've just entered the open gate in the Kruger National Park. I'm on my way to Satara for 2 nights, and in this video I'm going to take you on a behind the scenes look at how I take my wildlife photographs. I'll show you the camera settings I use, composition ideas, even how I edit some of the images. So join me as I share the story about my 2-night stay here in the Kruger. Definitely entering lion country, that is for sure. Satara is renowned for lion sightings. There's good cheetah around here and also the opportunity for some leopards, also African wild dog. So I'm hoping to see all of those animals on this trip, but ahead of me the sun is rising. There's a lot of mist around this morning, and I'm excited to see what we get on this trip. I'm just sat here at the Shimangwaneni waterhole on the S36. The morning's been a bit quiet. The weather has changed quite dramatically. It's very, very overcast. There's also a slight drizzle and the temperature is quite chilly. I've seen some good game, good elephants. There's an elephant drinking now here at the waterhole. The one advantage of having an overcast day like this is the light doesn't get harsh at all. So if the clouds are going to stay around, I hope they stay around most of the day until the afternoon. If that is the case, I'll probably stay out and try and find some photographic subjects, but I'll stick around this waterhole for a bit, see if anything comes down to drink. The bush is very dry. It's the height of the dry season. There's probably another month until the rains start, but let's see what we can find here at the waterhole this morning. I spent some time focusing on the drinking elephants close by, making use of the soft background. Because the elephant was facing away from me, I waited until it turned my way. I captured this image, but didn't like the fact that the eye was close to the edge of the frame, as well as the leg here. I cropped the image to get rid of those issues, focusing on the tusk and trunk detail. I felt the colors were very boring in this image, so a black and white conversion was made. I've just bumped into a wild dog at the Shimangwaneni waterhole. I was actually just leaving the waterhole and he suddenly appeared. He's going down to the water to drink. Oh, there's a whole pack here. The whole pack is here. Good grief, this is unbelievable. My first encounter with the dogs was amazing and the light was soft. I maintained a fast enough shutter speed of 1,250th of a second to freeze the movement. I went for a darker, more moodier edit to this one, really emphasizing the dark and rainy conditions of the morning. Things have just got a whole bunch more interesting. The dogs have pulled a carcass out of the water. I'm really not sure what's going on here. I'm not sure if they've stolen it from a crocodile. This is unbelievably interesting. Fortunately, it's quite difficult to see them. The carcass was right next to the water, although out of sight, so I'm not sure if a crocodile had it or another predator. Fortunately, they're behind some bushes, so it's really difficult to see. I'm trying to See if I can get some video here. There's quite a bit of the carcass left, so they're going to be feeding for a few minutes. There's only 4 dogs, so they'll devour that carcass pretty quickly. So this has been very interesting here, that 4 dogs have continued to feed on that carcass, and when they dragged the carcass into a bit more of a clearer spot for me to see, I could see the carcass was very, very stiff. So I think the impala had possibly been killed by a crocodile and left on the bank, I'm assuming, or maybe a leopard has been feeding on it, I'm not sure. But the dogs keep going closer to the water and checking out, and they're definitely looking at something, I'm not sure what it is. So it's a very interesting sighting. Unbelievable. It's one of the best wild dog sightings I've had in a very long time. The pack of 4 wild dogs hung around the area for a long time, heading back to the carcass, back to the water, but I never got wind of what had actually killed the impala. It was an incredible opportunity for photography. I maintained camera settings of roughly 1/1600th of a second at f6.3 to make sure I produced sharp images. I set the ISO to auto and let the camera determine the best value depending on the light. I captured this image, albeit slightly dark because of the bright background. I couldn't settle on an edit I was happy with. The black and white high key version has some great contrast, but the color version a bit more mood. I would love to hear what you think about these 2 edits. Comment below and let me know. The dogs fed on the carcass for a while, with very little intensity. To my surprise, a herd of Sable antelope arrived at the waterhole while the dogs were still feeding. I did not expect to see Sable and wild dog at the same time. Truly special. The dogs eventually left the scene, allowing the build-up of vultures free reign over the carcass. Bateleur and tawny eagles arrived too, and upon approach I managed to capture this juvenile bateleur as it landed. I absolutely love the outstretched wings and soft background. Notice how I cropped the sky away. I felt like the sky robbed the image of some intimacy. I am truly happy with this one. So the action's calming down a little bit. The vultures are feeding on the carcass still. There's only a few left. Some of them have flown away from me, some have flown towards me. So now what I'm trying to do is get them taking off, coming towards me. So the light is really strong right now. I've got 1/3200th of a second. I've got bird tracking on, and I'm around ISO 800. I have got the ISO set to auto ISO, shooting at 20 frames per second. So I'm trying to get them as they leave the carcass coming towards me. The light is behind me, so the light is perfect. Just waiting for those vultures to leave. I don't think there's much of the carcass left, so let's hold thumbs they do fly back and leave the area towards me. The vultures eventually had their share of the carcass and, as predicted, flew towards me. It's always tricky framing up a bird in flight, but the Z8 subject tracking really did a great job of keeping the vulture in focus. This was my favorite frame from that takeoff sequence. The exposure was spot on and the framing almost perfect. This is the raw file. I'm very happy with the overall exposure, but through editing, I wanted to further emphasize the main part of the subject, and that is the head and the eyes. A slight crop and vignette finished off the image nicely. I continued waiting for more takeoffs, and another vulture flew towards me. I've slowed the sequence down to 25% speed, just to allow you to see the sequence a bit better. Notice how that Z8 eye tracking did a superb job again. I chose this frame to edit. I like the eye contact, wings facing down, and the background. I struggled to decide on whether a black and white edit was better, or this color one. Let me know in the comments which edit works best for you. I've been sat at this waterhole now for 2 hours. I got you at 8:15. It's now 10:15. A lot has happened in that time. The sky also cleared for a brief while, and now it's actually drizzling. The vultures are still feeding on the carcass, although there's not much action. The dogs left a long time ago. There's a couple of eagles hanging around. There are some zebra and wildebeest approaching the waterhole. So I'm assuming today, although it's not very hot, I think the waterhole will be quite productive with mammals and lots of small birds. But it's nice to actually just take a break from all the frantic photography and just enjoy the peace and quiet. And little tip, carry a microfiber towel with you when out shooting. You can leave your camera in the rain and just cover the essential items. Although the gear is weatherproof, the lens cover, I'm not too worried about that getting wet, but I don't want to get the camera too wet. So I just pop the little towel over the camera and the lens will be fine. Obviously in a heavy downpour, I wouldn't be having the lens out of the vehicle, but for this drizzle, it's not too bad. I'm still waiting for the birds to take off. They're still feeding in the rain, which is really nice to see. But I'm hoping one of them take off soon while it's still raining. That'd be amazing. Even the bird in flight with a bit of rain would be really nice. This morning just keeps getting better and better. I'm still at the Shimangoneni waterhole, almost 3 hours now. And I've actually been chased away from where I've been parked for the whole morning actually, by a big herd of elephant. They were on my right hand side, very close to the car when they arrived. I had to eventually move because they wanted to come directly across where I was parked. So moved away for them, went back to position, and now they're just on my left hand side. There must be 30 or 40 elephants, a nice big breeding herd. Amazing to see. This waterhole certainly is productive during the dry season, that is for sure, and there's a lot of water still around here in the dam. But it's been an amazing morning here at the waterhole, and I think I'm going to leave now and go and see what else I can find. Got a few other areas I want to check out, some more waterholes. So let's head off there and let's see what happens. Good morning from a chilly Kruger National Park. It's very misty and cold this morning, but I'm heading north to the S147, north of Satara. There was a leopard spotted there yesterday with a kill, so I'm hoping the leopard is still there this morning. I've stopped a couple of times to get a couple of silhouette shots, but I'm eager to get onto that S147. It's a beautiful road. There's lots of lions spotted around Satara. And generally speaking, when there's lots of lions in the area, the leopard sightings, maybe that's just my bad luck, but the leopard sightings are a lot less than normal. And so I'm heading north today, try and find that leopard on the S147, and just enjoy the morning in the Kruger. I just stopped to photograph a Burchell's Kukul with the sun rising behind it. And when you are taking photographs of silhouettes, I normally switch to full manual. I don't like to let the camera decide what ISO or what settings it wants to use. when the sun is in the frame and there's a dark silhouette, it sometimes plays havoc with the camera's metering. And when you shoot a silhouette, you need a very, very fast shutter speed and a very low ISO because that sun is so bright. So generally speaking, for a silhouette photograph, I like to switch to full manual, put my shutter speed on maybe like 1/4000th of a second. The aperture can stay wide open, or you can drop it down a little bit and then just play with that ISO speed. Generally, I go down to ISO 100 and the shutter speed is incredibly fast, and then you just take the photograph. If the image is too bright, then just increase your shutter speed. If it's too dark, then just decrease that shutter speed a bit. And then I like to keep those silhouettes very minimal, keep the framing very minimal. So I had the bird on the left-hand side and I had the sun on the right-hand side, just two elements in the shot. And I made sure that that bird was jet black. Just remember, once you are done, to set your camera back to the settings that you use generally. So I'll drop my shutter speed down back to maybe 1/1000th of a second, set the aperture wide open, and then switch back to auto ISO, so I'm ready for something that may come along. You don't want to leave your camera set up for a silhouette and ruin an opportunity when something else presents itself. Just found a leopard. Unfortunately, a very bad sighting. Although I suppose you can't say any leopard sighting is bad, but I did manage to get one photograph, and this is it. Award-winning, I know, but it's still nice to see. This was just at the entrance to the S147. The leopard was slightly injured, so it was limping quite a bit. So I'll head on now, it's moved off, so let's carry on. The rest of the day was quiet. Apart from a distant cheetah sighting, there wasn't much to photograph. I spent some time staking out a waterhole south of Satara with no luck. Heading back to camp, I found a spotted hyena, very relaxed around the vehicle. My luck took a positive turn, however, as the sun was setting. To this day, I don't think I've seen a better display of sunset light. The dust kicked up by the elephants, lit by the sun, created an amazing effect. Seeing it in real life almost felt like I was seeing double. The edit was pretty simple on this one. I didn't want to change the natural appearance of that incredible effect the light and dust created. This was a very special moment. The herd of elephants continued to move in front of the setting sun and created some incredible conditions for photography. Taking photographs in this condition is very tricky, and I felt myself fumble a lot because of how amazed I was at the scene I was witnessing. Although I messed up quite a lot of the shots, I did have a couple keepers I'm very happy with. An incredible end to another day in Africa. Well, the morning certainly started off with a bang. I came across a kill yesterday afternoon with some lions on it. Went past the same area and hyenas had chased the lions off. So I saw some hyenas running around with parts of the carcass, and then I found the lion. Now I'm just following the 3 lionesses with 1 cub towards the Swaney waterhole. I'm pretty sure they're heading to the waterhole to drink. So I'm trying to stay ahead of the traffic and try and predict their movements. Let's try and get shots of them coming out the thick grass when they approach the waterhole. So that is the plan, hoping that actually does happen. There's quite a few cars behind me, but if we're just patient and try and predict what they're going to do, there's a potential there for some shots of them coming towards the vehicle. The sun has just risen now, so the backlighting should be really nice. If I can just find a good area for them to cross towards the waterhole. The grass is quite long in this area, but let's see what happens. Very exciting to start the day off with such a good sighting. I've lost sight of the lions momentarily, So I've come forward to the waterhole, and there's a very prominent game track that leads from the side of the bush that they're in to the waterhole. So my prediction is that they're following that game track, and they hopefully will come out towards my vehicle. That is the plan, at least. If it does happen, basically just in the background here you can see the track. So I'm hoping they do follow that, because the sun is right behind them, and I can get some nice backlighting on the lines. Unfortunately, 2 of the lions have got collars on, so there is one female and a small cub that don't have collars on. So I think I'm hoping for that cub to walk along there, get some nice shots in the backlight. It's going to take a little bit of patience though. I think they're probably about 5 to 10 minutes out. Of course, I could sit here in vain and nothing can happen. They could just change direction, but I'm pretty sure they're going to be heading to this waterhole. They've been on that kill the whole night, and they were on that kill yesterday since the morning, so I'm pretty sure they're heading this way. My predictions for the morning were right. The lions did indeed visit the waterhole. I soon lost sight of them as they headed into the Swaney River shortly after drinking. I left the waterhole and headed back to the gate to leave the park, but not before bumping into a cheetah and another leopard. This short 2-night trip produced some incredible experiences. Satara sure is one of the most productive areas in the entire park. Check out this video next for another behind the scenes look at how I take my wildlife photographs.